Hello viewers, welcome to National Focus. I'm your presenter Tarnia Green. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Among the major developments, a call for the banana industry to be treated as a business. Dominica's Environment Minister says a green economy network could be a vehicle for sustainable development, and a Technical and Vocational Education Training Council appointed for the next 3 years. Stay with me as I bring you the details of these and other developments right after the break.
The facts as they are, brought to you every day. Only on GIS Channel 7.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. A major paradigm shift in the way farmers do business as it relates to bananas may be the solution to increasing the country's banana productivity and exports. That's the suggestion coming out of a recent meeting called by the Ministry of Agriculture involving key stakeholders in the industry. The meeting, called on May 28, 2013, was attended by representatives of Winfresh, the company responsible for marketing Dominica's bananas, Dominica Agricultural Producers and Exporters Limited (DAPEX), and the Dominica National Fair Trade Organization. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Eisenhower Douglas, who chaired the high-level meeting, said there is consensus that a more scientific approach should be embraced as a means of sustaining the island's banana industry.
We have much more competition now, and the core message from Winfresh is that at the production level, at the national level, the changes that need to take place to match that changing at the market level has not taken place, or is too slow to take place. So basically, we have to be much more scientific in production at the national level. We need to treat agriculture more like a business. Inputs, outputs, productivity, yield per acre, improve our management. We have a problem with aging. The average age of farmers. We need to get younger people. People more energetic in the industry. So we have a number of challenges that we ourselves have to concern ourselves with and seek to address. And we want to do it together. We want to do it in collaboration with DAPEX, in collaboration with Winfresh, because they have also an important role to play.
The Permanent Secretary says in recent years, Dominica has experienced a significant decline in banana exports, and there is consensus that the country can do much better.
Winfresh still believe that Dominica can do much better in the area of bananas. And just for information, our peak year of banana exports was 1988, when we earned over $100 million in banana exports, 1988. Now here we are in 2013, over 20 years later, our banana export is less than 10% of what it was at the peak. Okay, so banana exports have declined significantly. Now, there have been over that period between 1988 and 2012, there have been times when you've had some blips where the exports was higher in one year than the previous year. But generally, the trend in banana exports have been on the decline. And Winfresh, which is the main agency responsible for handling exports from the Windward Islands, not just Dominica, but St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and Grenada, believe that we can do much better in banana exports.
Mr. Douglas says there continues to be a call for DAPEX and the National Fair Trade Organization to work collaboratively in the interest of the industry.
We also want to see DAPEX and fair trade work much more harmoniously together. Okay, there are certain institutional arrangements that that have predisposed them to be at loggerheads, in the past, and we believe that the time has come to bury the hatchet, quote unquote, and work more collectively in the public interest. A certain amount of that has in fact started, but we want to accelerate that, because what we're saying is that, I mean, all of us have a role to play. The government have its role to play, but they also have a role to play, and we cannot do it alone. We have to work, collectively.
The government of Dominica recently launched the Banana Accompanying Measures, or BAM, where 54 million EC dollars from the European Union was injected into the island's agricultural sector as a means of boosting that sector. The BAM is a series of measures aimed at strengthening the viability of agriculture and increasing its productivity and competitiveness. Dominica's Environment Minister, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, joined his regional counterparts in St. Lucia last week in discussing the creation of a green economy network. The discussions were held at the first regional conference under the Caribbean Green Economy Initiative, held from June 4 to 6, 2013. The conference brought together representatives of governments, regional institutions, the private sector, and academia from across the Caribbean, and was held under the theme Green Economy as a Vehicle for Sustainable Development and Poverty Eradication in the Caribbean. The Environment Minister says the green economy approach is necessary if Caribbean countries like Dominica are to survive challenges such as climate change and the global financial crisis.
We think that now is as good a time as any where we think that the region needs to come together to establish some sort of framework as it pertains to developing the concept of green economies. For a lot of people, probably a lot of the developed countries, the whole concept of a green economy most likely can be considered an option. But for us, it has to be a way of life, because we are aware of the degradation of our environment as a result of climate change. Unfortunately, we are placed in a geographical location in the world where every year we are exposed to these storms coming from the Atlantic. So because of this, and of course we also have an abundance of natural resources. So we think that, as I said, now is a good time as any to pull all of these natural resources together and to use them in a sustainable way to develop our nations.
Minister Daru said the Green Economy Network is expected to connect a community of policymakers, practitioners and thinkers who are focused on achieving poverty reduction and sustainable development through a green economy.
The whole idea of this meeting was to get all stakeholders on board. I mean, we talk about ministers of government, policymakers, the private sector, NGOs. We have representatives from the ministries of finance throughout the region, because I mean they're going to play a very important role in this. And it was just like 3 days of really discussions, presentations, discussions. And at the end of the meeting, what we came up with was some sort of communique to get a foundation, to see how we can take this green economy concept at a regional level forward.
The conference, which was organized by the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, also addressed economic, social and environmental challenges faced by the Caribbean region. It also presented options and opportunities to remedy these problems under a green economy. Recommendations from the conference are expected to be presented at CARICOM's next Council for Trade and Economic Development Quartet meeting on matters of the environment. In other news, a second Technical and Vocational Education Training, or TVET, Council has been appointed by the Minister of Education and Human Resource Development. The new TVET Council, which will serve for the next 3 years, will guide the ministry through new policies and advise the Minister on technical vocational education training in Dominica. Technical vocational education prepares individuals for specific trades. The 10-member council will be chaired by Edison Henry, with Stevenson Astafan as vice chairman, Merrill Matthew as Secretary, and Matthew LeBlanc as the Council's Public Relations Officer. Other members of the Council are Celia Nicholas, Curtis Augustus, Jeffrey Baptiste, Martin Allen, Stevenson Hyacinth, and Raul Leslie. The Council's PRO Matthew LeBlanc speaks more about the structure of the Council.
As you will realize, the composition of the Council is multidisciplinary, and there are, of course, technical persons as well as academicians and persons with different different experience in different occupational categories. These nominations were multi-sectoral and were made to the minister. Of course, you will realize that there are government representatives such as the Chief Education Officer and in representation of the Ministry of Education, and the Labour Commissioner in representation of the Ministry of Labour. You also have very technical persons such as Mr. Martin Allen, Mr. Raul Leslie is involved in technical activities in agriculture, and he also works at the State College. Mr. Matthew, who has been a tutor and has managed technical vocational education for many years, and persons from the trade union, from the construction industry, and so on. So it's a multidisciplinary council, and it has to be very technical, and the persons who are sitting on the council, of course, would have a background in technical and vocational education as well as labor and education.
LeBlanc says the Council expects technical vocational education to significantly affect the economy by contributing to job creation for skilled workers through self-employment.
In light of regional integration, the OECS Economic Union and CARICOM, CSME, it is very important that Dominica does not stay out in the whole process of the development of technical vocational education. The world trend has been to develop this area as it provides young persons with entrepreneurship skills and self-employment capabilities, in that once these skills are developed, these persons can now seek and create their own jobs, and even by that process creating employment for other persons.
Among the first items on the Council's agenda is a training workshop geared at empowering and preparing members for their new roles. The Council aims to create a policy that will move to certify new and existing non-skilled workers. According to LeBlanc, technical vocation spans through several occupations, including masonry, costume building, construction, plumbing, and agriculture. LeBlanc believes that Dominica's non-skilled workers should be certified to enhance their credibility.
There are standards that have been approved by CARICOM already, and we need to move towards being able to certify. We do not have a national association, training association, and so on. And we are hoping that with the workshop we can develop the skills in determining what is the option we use for the certification of our skilled persons. We have many skilled persons who are very involved in production in all the sectors, and we export a lot of skills to other countries, especially the Northern Caribbean and further afield, and our persons are not certified, and the construction and building industry is beginning to be concerned that we are becoming less competitive as a result of the non-certification of our skilled workers.
The new TVET Council is confident that with the support of Minister Saint-Jean, it is ready to transform workforce development and economic competitiveness in Dominica. And 32 years after the establishment of the Education Trust Fund, the education needs of about 600 students are met every year. The Education Trust Fund is a unit of the Ministry of Education which aims to provide financial assistance to secondary school students whose families have difficulty in meeting their educational expenses. In an interview with the Government Information Service, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Education Trust Fund, Willie Favre, said donations to the Education Trust Fund takes care of students' education needs, including transportation, school examination fees, registration fees, and textbooks. According to Favre, statistics indicate that a significant number of underprivileged students now have the opportunity to attend school with necessary textbooks thanks to the work of the fund.
there will always be children who cannot really, or parents who cannot really meet all the needs of their children for books and for registration fees and for examination fees. Well, transportation is being taken care of by the government in the sense that most communities now have free transportation to schools. So we don't have many requests for transportation, but for examination fees, which can be quite substantial, and some schools have a registration fee, which is a challenge for some parents, and textbooks are very expensive. So as long as there will be people in our community who cannot afford those things, there will always be requests for assistance, and the Education Trust Fund will be there to assist them.
The Education Trust Fund is a non-profit organization but receives annual subventions from government. Funds are also raised by donations from private individuals, clubs, local, regional or international associations and fundraising activities. Donations of any size are accepted year-round, and because of the nature of the fund, every contribution goes a long way to help a student in need.
Every dollar counts. It takes one fills the barrel. So no matter how small the contribution is, it all adds up. And it is very important that people who can afford more will give more. People who can't afford much give whatever they can afford. So it's very important at least to contribute to the Education Trust Fund.
Mr. Favre says the fund attempts to aid as many students as possible with the goal of developing the island's human resource. He gave information on how parents and guardians can apply for help from the fund.
We have an application form which is sent to all village councils. That application form is also available at the Office of the Education Trust Fund on Cornwall Street, and it's also available at the Ministry of Education. And so a parent will get the form and fill out the form with whatever information that is required, and the forms are returned. Hopefully, we would like all forms to be returned by the 31st of July so that we can go through them and make our decisions so that when school reopens in September, students who are to get, for example, textbooks would have already got their textbooks. So it's important for them to apply early, get an application form, fill it up, and make sure it is returned to the Office of the Education Trust Fund by 31st of July.
The Education Trust Fund accepts donations year-round and encourages citizens to help improve the lives of students in need. That interview was held last Friday on the occasion of the fund's annual contribution day, where each student at school were asked to bring in a donation to prolong the work of the Education Trust Fund. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Claudia Bellot, warns stakeholders in the tourism industry to pay more attention to the security of visitors to the island. Bellot made the call as she addressed police, port security officers, and representatives of private security firms and tourism entities at the opening ceremony of a tourism security workshop on Monday at the Fort Young Hotel.
Not totally possible to prevent incidents of crime against visitors. However, we feel that it is possible to ensure that the potential risks in the sector are fully assessed and that you as security personnel are well trained and better prepared to manage and deal with such incidents when they arise. Therefore, the Ministry of Tourism and the Discover Dominica Authority depends very much on the readiness of all of you as security officers to ensure that Dominica remains a relatively safe and secure destination to welcome our visitors and to assure them of a memorable experience.
Project Manager of Aviation Security at the Inter-American Committee Against Terrorism, Siobhan Kalma, in her address at the official opening ceremony of the training program on Monday, spoke of the importance of the security within the tourism sector.
Those who view security for their tourist facilities as an option or an afterthought should understand that an investment now in the appropriate security measures could save a lot more money than what would be needed to recover from a potential criminal or terrorist attack that could not only damage the brand of that facility, but could damage the brand of Dominica as a secure and friendly destination. These factors enhance the value of SICTE's tourism security program, which seeks to provide capacity building and training to strengthen security capabilities and prevention and response measures all across the hemisphere, but especially in countries that are largely dependent on tourism as their economic lifeblood, like Dominica. OAS SICTE believes that tourism security needs to be seen from a multidimensional perspective in order to address not only issues such as crime and violence in the tourism sector, but also issues related to health and disaster mitigation, among others. I encourage you to use this week to learn not only from the instructors, but from each other's experiences in the spirit of collaboration to ensure that you're equipped with the tools to effectively prevent and respond to any potential incident together.
Minister for Tourism, Honorable Ian Douglas, also stressed the importance of security within the industry. He says the country's image and its tourism sector can suffer irreparable damage if a visitor to the island is affected by a lack of security measures.
Protecting a destination from risk and from possible litigation is the hallmark of a good tourism security program, taking into account not only security and safety issues, but also seeking to manage risk. In tourism, risk management is an important aspect of tourism safety and security. Preventing a negative incident is more important than recovering from an incident and can avoid expensive litigation and legal fees. I encourage all the participants of this training workshop to make the best use of this training opportunity. Engage the trainers with a view to obtaining as much information as you can and making use of their expertise.
The security officers and other tourism sector personnel were encouraged by the minister to prepare for increased visitors when the 2013-2014 cruise tourism season commences here in October. And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson, St. Luce comes up next with your Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson, St. Luce. Premièrement, Dominique est bien représenté en meeting pour faire une green economy qui prend place en Saint-Lucie. Ministère pour Environ, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, représenté Dominique en meeting ça là.
Il mène toute qualité ensemble pour nous discuter issue green economy. Mène politician, ministre gouvernement, représentation hors Ministry of Finance, private sector, business people agencies qu'on World Bank avec toutes ces monde ça c'est président meeting ça. So ça meeting ça c'est pour nous établir pour nous collaborer ensemble nous créer concept green economy. Now comment dire avant concept green economy c'est pas quelque chose qui neuf en region. Because nous savons assez temps nous avons servi bagaille comme géothermal, nous ni babad qui c'est un leader en solar energy. So ça green economy a fait avec comme on dit avec ça qui a fait en latter aujourd'hui avec global financial recession avec issues climate change because même activité qui a contribué pour green economy c'est même activité nous a servi pour combattre climate change. So nous ça joué des yeux avec young wash. Ça nous a fait nous a servi ces natural resources là nous avec même temps nous a try preserver environment là avec nous a try keep it natural.
En autre nouvelle, le ministre de l'Éducation établit un conseil pour garder un affaire monde qui travaille en technical, ça creativité. Monsieur Mathieu Liblanc, c'est officier relations publiques pour conseil ça.
Ministre de l'Éducation, monsieur Peter Saint-Jean, moi ça fait peut-être 5 ou 6 semaines passées. Il appointe ça y a TVET Council, ça c'est Technical Vocational Education Training, ça c'est pour monde. C'est pas seulement qui a point leçon pour tête, étude tête, mais monde qui ça fait un pile chose avec la main yo. Ça c'est technical vocational, monde qui a fait plombier, monde qui a fait maçon, monde qui charpentier, avait moun qui connaît faire différents bagages avec la main yo, moun qui ka ranger frigidaire, ranger air condition, tout ces bagages ça, mécanicien, tout c'est ça. Tout ces moun ça c'est moun qui ka travail. Yo ni connaissance, moun qui ka peinturer, moun qui artiste qui ka fait peint et qui a fait tout ces bagages ça là. Tout ces bagages ça c'est vocational training. So ça qu'a fait Dominique, nous ni ces bagages ça là qu'a fait longtemps youth skill training programme, il y a pile jeune moun qui apprend spray voiture, ranger voiture, faire mécanicien, fait un pile travail maintenant yo ka travail sous compte yo. Mais nous besoin nous ni loi Dominique pour ça. Et la loi là fait provision pour ministre là créer un conseil. Conseil là c'est un conseil 10 moun. Et conseil là ka dire pour 3 l'année. Il y a un premier conseil TIVET et 3 l'année la passé ce ministre là fait appoint un l'autre conseil TIVET encore pour 3 l'année encore avec 9 conseil 9 ça là ça c'est un conseil qui ni 10 membres. 10 membres ça là ça moi ça dit monsieur Edison Henry c'est chairman là. Monsieur Stevenson Astafan c'est vice chairman, monsieur Merrill Matthew c'est secrétaire et moi Matthew Liblan moi c'est labor commissioner, moi c'est pour relations publiques. Nous ni Cilia Nicolas, Curtis Augustus, Jeffrey Baptiste, Martin Allen, Stevenson Hyacinth et Roll Leslie contre les autres même conseil là.
La nouvelle secteur privé qui bénéficie selon consultation à ces unions économiques qui prend place mercredi en hôtel Fortin en Roseau. Gouvernement Dominique en collaboration et puis association Commodité Dominique DAIC mettait mise en place pour consultation salaire. Officier Grand Office OECS qui conduit consultation là. Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, ministre Commodité Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre et puis chef proposition Honorable Hector John qui a adressé consultation là. Officier secrétariat OECS qui a assis en mission en Dominique où là il fait présentation, rangement et puis programme qui t'apprécie pour chef pays OECS fait union économique en réalité. Même secteur privé qui tape opportunité, clarification bagaille qui concerne union économique, et spécialement mouvement moun, commodity service en parmi d'autres. Ça fait qui concerne labor et union labor, et puis ça fait manufacturing qui tape attention pendant consultation salaire. Et puis finalement, le département de drogue Dominique a visé public là comme un tabac bien dangereux pour santé à moun. Selon le chef du département là, Jacinth Barnes, public là a tapé avis pour taper information, hors officier santé, danger tabac.
Le tabac, il me cache que nicotine. Nicotine, c'est bagay là qui fait taper addiction là. Et puis là, on addicté pour cigarette et bien tabac, ou pas ça, on quitte comme ça. So, nous avons dit, mon public là, il y a pour taper toute carte d'information, hors health center yo, hors health promotion, pour yo ça faire plus meilleure décision contre tabac. Tabac, c'est un bagay qui est dangereux, oui. Et puis, check for mon femme qui est enceinte, vous savez, yo qui fait des enfants qui mort, si yo ka fumer, mon qui a tapé cancer, nous dit, et puis, bah, qu'on heart attack, tout ça, ka sorti hors mon qui a fumer. So, nous le dit, mon public là, pour éduquer contre tabac.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson, c'est Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, how to reduce the risk of liver cancer. Find out how you could do that on our tip of the day. Don't go away.
Scary. Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking, then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and SIDERA.
There are some simple lifestyle changes we can make to help reduce our risk factor for liver cancer. These simple tips will lead you in the path of reducing your risk factor. 1. Quit smoking. If you are a smoker, now is never a better time to quit. Smoking has been linked to liver cancer in studies. Smoking not only has been linked to liver cancer, it has also been connected with many other types of cancers and diseases as well. 2. Watch your alcohol intake. Drinking excessive amounts of alcohol and alcohol abuse leads to disease causes cirrhosis. Having cirrhosis can lead to liver cancer. If you drink, do so in moderation. And that's all for National Focus. We welcome your suggestions and your comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm. Friend us on Facebook and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. Thank you so much for watching, and do remember to join us again tomorrow.